Welcome back to Enriching Bankers. This topic is customer identification procedure and the risk management. In this topic, definitions are given for some words for the purpose of KYC. First word is customer. For the purpose of KYC, RBI has defined customer. So who defined the customer here? RBI has defined the customer for the purpose of KYC. Definition: a person who is engaged in a financial transaction or activity with a reporting entity and includes a person on whose behalf the person who is engaged in the transaction or activity is active. So don't worry about the definition. It is explained in three simple points. So we can go through these simple points. We can understand the definition by these three simple points. First one, a person who is engaged in financial transactions or activity with the reporting entity. Here, reporting entity means a financial institution or a bank. So, a person who is engaged in financial transactions or activity with the bank or financial institution. For example, loan borrower. Loan borrower generally does transactions for his loan repayments with the bank. So, loan borrower is engaged in financial transactions with the in the form of repayments with the bank. That's why this person can be treated as a customer. Second point, a person on whose behalf engaged in the transaction. A person on whose behalf engaged in the transaction or activity. For example, Mr. A asks his friend Mr. B for depositing some amount in his account on his behalf. In this example, Mr. B is physically conducting the transaction. Mr. B is physically engaged in the transaction or activity on behalf of Mr. A. So, this person can also be treated as customer. Third point, a person who is connected with the transaction in any other capacity. For example, Mr. B is the guarantor for loan of Mr. A. Here, Mr. B is connected with the transaction in another capacity. One more example. Mr. B is a nominee for the deposit account of Mr. A. In that case, Mr. B is a nominee. He is connected with the transaction in another capacity. This person can also be treated as a customer according to the RBI definition. Second word is person. In terms of PML Act, person includes earlier customer is defined by RBI. Here person is defined by PML Act. In terms of PML Act, person includes an individual, a Hindu undivided family, a company, a firm, an association of persons or a body of individuals, whether it is incorporated or not, every artificial juridical person not falling within any one of the above persons 1 to 5. So every juridical person not falling within any one of the above 5 persons. can also be considered as person or defined as person. What is artificial juridical person? Artificial juridical person means a legal entity, an entity recognized by the law. Seventh one, any agency or office or branch, either it is owned or controlled by any of the above persons 1 to 6. So, any agency or office or branch, either owned or controlled by above 6 persons. Sixth one is 1 to 5. Seventh point is 1 to 6. Okay. For example, a company has a branch, so that is also considered as a person. A firm has office, so that is also considered as a person according to the PML Act. Next word is beneficial owner. Rule 9 of 3 of PML specifies norms for determination of beneficial owner for various categories of customers. Rule 9 of 3 PML has given some norms for determining the beneficial owner for various types of customers. First norm is natural person. Beneficial owner must be a natural person. Juridical person does not qualify to be a beneficial owner. Juridical person or any legal entity cannot be a beneficial owner. Only natural persons can be beneficial owners. That is about first norm. Second norm, criteria for being beneficial owner. A natural person who fulfills any one of the following criteria, whether alone, singly, or in concert with another natural person, can be treated as beneficial owner. A natural person who fulfills any one of these three criteria, either singly or in concert with another person, natural person, can be treated as beneficial owner. Let us see first criteria, having ownership of certain threshold value. Ownership is about holding something beyond the required level. For example, a person must have 51% of shareholding or 50% of shares to have ownership in company X. So here 51% is the threshold value for ownership. So to obtain ownership in company X, a person must possess the 51% of shareholding. That means must possess certain threshold value. Next criteria, enjoying benefit of certain threshold value. Here benefit, here ownership, certain threshold value, benefit of certain threshold value. So a natural person who enjoys benefit of certain threshold value can be treated as beneficial owner. For example, if the annual income is less than or equal to 3 lakh, 3 lakh, If the annual income is less than or equal to 3 lakh, then no need to pay the income tax. If the annual income crosses 3 lakh rupees, then income tax should be paid. So here 3 lakhs is the threshold value. The persons who have annual income of rupees 3 lakhs or less than 3 lakhs or equal to 3 lakhs only enjoy the benefit of zero tax. So who is going to enjoy that zero tax benefit? Those who are getting annual income of 3 lakhs less than or equal to 3 lakhs, those people can only enjoy that zero tax benefit. So here 3 lakhs is the threshold value. Benefit, whoever get that amount only get the benefit of that zero tax. In similar manner, a natural person who enjoys benefit of certain threshold value can also be treated as a beneficial owner. Third point, exercising control over the entity. A natural person who exercises control over the entity. How can he exercises control over the entity? Exercises control through a right to appoint majority of the directors, or through a right to control management or control policy decisions, then they can be treated as beneficial owners. Hence, a natural person who fulfills having ownership of certain threshold value can be treated as beneficial owner, or a natural person who fulfills enjoying benefit of certain threshold value either alone singly or in concert with another natural person can also be treated as beneficial owner. A natural person who fulfills exercising control over the entity either singly or in concert with another natural person can also be treated as beneficial owner. Therefore, a natural person who fulfills any one of the following three criteria, either singly or in concert with another person, can be treated as beneficial owner. Next, third norm, chain ownership. Chain ownership refers to an entity indirectly has ownership in another entity through the multiple layers of ownership. For example, company A has ownership in company B. Company B has ownership in company C. So company A has indirectly ownership in company C. Okay, we go deep into this example. Company A has 70% of shareholding in company B. Company B has 60% of shareholding in company C. Company A has 70% of 60% in company C. Hence, A has 42% of shareholding in company C. Hence, company A has indirectly ownership in company C through company B. Okay. To examine the companies or any entities holding structure tree, down to the level where they can be reasonably satisfied that natural person who qualify as beneficial owners. If it is a chain ownership structure, then that structure need to be treated down to the level where the natural person qualifies as beneficial owner. In simple way, if it is a chain ownership, then we have to treat down the all natural persons involved in that company. Then we have to search whether which natural person is qualifying those norms, which natural person is going to qualify the norms given by PML Act for determining the beneficial owner. Next norm is senior managing official. If the chain ownership arrangement is so complex, so we have seen that chain ownership, if this chain ownership arrangement is so complex and no beneficial person is identified according to the prescribed norms, then the natural person who holds the position of senior managing official is to be treated as the beneficial owner of that entity. So we have gone through to identify determining natural persons, but it is that companies chain ownership arrangement is so complex, and we could not find any natural person according to the prescribed norms. Then the natural person who holds the position of senior managing official is to be determined as beneficial owner of the company. Senior managing official is a specified person in the senior management group. Senior management may consist CEO and other executives. So in that, senior managing official is a specified person. In case of chain ownership arrangement is so complex, no beneficial owner is identified according to the prescribed norms, then natural person who holds the position of senior management official is to be treated as beneficial owner. Here, if the structure of companies are chain like structure, if the ownership is chain like structure, then you need to mention all the natural persons involved in that chain ownership. Then you have to check which natural person qualifies to fit into the prescribed norms for beneficial owner. So to determine beneficial owner, you need to check according to prescribed norms who is going to be qualified these prescribed norms. Here a table is given here for determining beneficial owner for various types of entities. Here type of entity, criteria and threshold value, three columns are given. So first entity is company. For company, two criteria are given for determining beneficial owner. A natural person who can satisfy any of these two can be treated as beneficial owner. First criteria is if a natural person a natural person who has more than 25% control ownership interest in terms of shares or capital or profits can be treated as beneficial owner. I repeat it, any natural person or a natural person who has more than 25% of ownership interest in terms of shares or capital or profits in the company can be treated as beneficial owner. Second criteria, a natural person who exercises control through a right to appoint majority of the directors or through a right to control the management or control policy decisions can be treated as beneficial owner. This right can be by virtue of their shareholding or management rights or shareholders agreement or voting agreements. Second entity is partnership firm. A natural person who has more than 15% ownership or entitlement in terms of capital or profit can be treated as beneficial owner to the partnership firm. Third entity is unincorporated association or body of individuals. A natural person who has more than 15% ownership or entitlement in terms of property or capital or profits can be treated as beneficial owner to that association. Fourth one, trust. Here, four types of beneficial owners are there. First one, author, trustee. Second one, trustee. Third one, beneficiaries with interest. Third one, any other natural persons. First one, author or settler creates the trust. Author has the authority to structuring and operating the structure. Therefore, author has the control on the trust. Therefore, author satisfies the condition to be a beneficial owner. Hence, author is a beneficial owner. Second one, trustee. Trustee manages the trust according to trust deed. Trustee control over the trust according to trust deed. He also satisfies that exercise control on the entity condition criteria. So trustee also treated as beneficial owner to the trust. Third one, beneficiaries with interest. Any natural person who has 15% or more. Any natural person has 15% or more income or benefits from the trust can be treated as beneficial owner. Fourth one, any other natural person exercising effective control over the trust through chain of control or ownership. If any natural person exercising control over the trust through a chain ownership can also be treated as a beneficial owner. You need to observe one thing. For only third category, asterisk is given here. Here also asterisk is given. So this is applied to only this third category because this person ownership belongs to ownership in terms of benefits or income in the trust. Remaining three, author, trustee, and other natural person just exercises control over the trust. So these three are fulfilling the condition of exercising control over the trust. This person satisfies the condition of ownership with certain threshold value. Next, final one. It is not necessary to identify and verify the identity of any shareholder or beneficial owner for the company listed on stock exchange and subsidiary of this company. If any company listed on stock exchange, that company and its subsidiaries, no need to identify beneficial owner to those companies and their subsidiaries. If it is a company listed on stock exchange, then no need to determine beneficial owner. So how to remember these values here? I will tell you one thing. Only company has 25%, more than 25%. So you need to remember this one only. Company more than 25%. Remaining all are 15%. So in exam, other than company, you can directly answer 15%. And you have to be cautious here. These two entities have more than 15%. When it comes to trust, 15% or more. So you should be careful here. You need to remember specifically here. For trust, you need to remember this. So remaining all are 15, more than 15%. Next, illustrations. Let us understand the application of the norms or determining beneficial owners of entities through the following illustration. So here one illustration is given. We have gone through norms given by PML Act for determining beneficial owner. Now we have to apply those norms for determining beneficial owners in this illustration, in the given illustration. So let us see the illustration. A company ABC Limited is a wholly owned subsidiary of PQR Limited. PQR Limited has 5 shareholders with shareholdings as indicated: Mr. A 10%, Mrs. B 40%, Mrs. C 15%, Mr. D 20% and Mrs. E 15%. Mr. A has right to appoint 60% of the board of members of PQR Limited. So this is the illustration. Now we have to identify beneficial owners in this illustration. Okay. So to determine beneficial owners, we need to check who fulfills the given norms and criteria. Next, here, first point, PQR Limited is the sole shareholder of ABC Limited. So PQR Limited is the share ho sorry PQR Limited is the sole shareholder of ABC Limited. So it can be generally according to the norm, it can be treated as beneficial owner, but it does not qualify one condition, that is beneficial owner must be a natural person. PQR Limited is not a natural person. That's why this has not fulfilled the condition of natural person or norm of natural person. That's why PQR Limited is not a beneficial owner. I repeat it, PQR Limited is the sole shareholder of ABC Limited, and also it is a legal entity. It is not a natural person. That's why it has not qualified as a beneficial owner. Let us see remaining shareholdings. Mr. A, Mrs. B, Mrs. C, Mr. D, and Mrs. E. All these five people are natural persons. So these five fulfill that norm. Let us see who is going to qualify next criteria. It is a company. According to the company we have discussed here, either this criteria or this criteria should be fulfilled for determining beneficial owner to company. So let us see who is going to fulfill first condition. What is this condition? Any natural person who has more than 25% control ownership interest in terms of shares or capital or profits. So let us see who satisfies this condition. Mr. A has 10%, Mrs. B has 40%, Mrs. C has 15%, Mr. D has 20%, Mrs. E has 15%. So among these, only Mrs. B has more than 25% of ownership interest in the company PQR Limited. So Mrs. B is a beneficial owner to that company according to the first criteria. So Mrs. B only satisfied that condition. That's why she became a beneficial owner. Next, let us see who qualifies the second condition, second criteria. So what is the second criteria? Any natural person who exercises control through a right to appoint majority of the directors or a right to control the management or policy decisions. So let us see who satisfies this criteria. Here, here it is given that Mr. A has the right to appoint 60% of the board members of PQR Limited. So Mr. A has satisfied that condition. Mr. A has a right to appoint majority of the board of members. Or that's why Mr. A also qualified as beneficial owner. Hence, Mrs. B has more than 25% of ownership in terms of shares. That's why she qualified. Mr. A has right to appoint 60% of the board members of PQR Limited. That's why Mr. A also qualified. So hence Mrs. B and Mr. A both are determined as beneficial owner to the PQR Limited. Next, considered in illustration with some further information. So here some further information also given. We need to look into that. On conducting further due diligence, it was known that Mr. D and Mrs. E are husband and wife, and they act in concert for all the matters connected to PQR Limited. So some more information is provided here. According to that, Mr. D and Mrs. E are husband and wife, and also they act in concert for all matters related to PQR Limited. So they satisfied this condition. Any natural person or a natural person who fulfills any one of the following criteria. So Mr. D and Mrs. E, Mr. D and Mrs. E satisfied or fulfilled the ownership of certain threshold value in concert with another natural person. Mr. D and Mrs. C both fulfilled this third criteria in concession. That's why, so we have to see one more thing. What is the shareholding in concession shareholding? So Mr. D and Mrs. E total shareholding is 35%. So this total shareholding also satisfied the condition pertaining to company. So both have more than 25% of ownership interest in terms of shares, and also they are fulfilling the criteria in concession. That's why they both satisfied the criteria for determining beneficial owner. Hence, they both also determined as beneficial owners. Finally, PQR Limited has four beneficial owners: Mr. A, Mrs. B, Mr. D, and Mrs. E. So here, Mr. A has the right to appoint 60% of the board of directors. So he satisfied the condition of exercising control over the company through a right to appoint majority of the directors. Mrs. B has more than 25% ownership in PQR Limited. So she satisfied that condition. Mr. D and Mrs. E both have both are husband and wife, and both are act in concert in all matters, and also together their shareholding is more than 25%. That's why they both also treated as beneficial owners.